Hey friends, Brendan here, just checking in with you. Hey, there has been this thing that's been happening for a while in my worship ministry team. I just wanted to take a couple of minutes to speak to it because I know if it's going on with us, it's probably going on with 10,000 other worship ministry teams as well. And that has to do with these little marvelous wonders called in-ear monitors. They are a great help and tool for accomplishing what we want to accomplish in worship ministry. But I've run into this challenge, and other worship leaders, maybe you've run into this as well, is when we introduce these to our churches, often we do tell people which ones to go out and purchase, where to get them. We send them the links, all the little knickknacks that go along with them that they need to have to take care of them, and for them to fit well and be comfortable and to work well. But we don't necessarily take the step of showing them how to physically wear them and how to put them in. And week after week, I see people putting them in wrong. And I want to help with that. So I try as best as I can within the context of our ministry not to embarrass people in front of the rest of the team and call them out and say, hey, you're wearing them backwards, or you're not putting them in your ears right. We always applaud people and celebrate them publicly, and we correct them privately. I think that's a great way to go about things, but this isn't even like a big correction matter. I just want to put this resource out there. So this is just a simple instructional video for anybody who has been blessed with in-ear monitors and you don't know how to put them in, or they're not working quite the way that you think they probably ought to. Well, I'm going to tell you it's probably because you're not putting them in right. So a few basics that you do need to know about with in-ear monitors. Now, first of all, I'm going to be using, these are KZ brand. You can get these off of Amazon. I'm not affiliated, blah, blah, blah. I've just experimented with dozens and dozens of different types of in-ear monitors. And these are 5-driver. They sound great. They're under 50 bucks. In my opinion, they are the best bang for the buck for any universal fit in-ear monitor that is out there currently. KZ ZS10 Pro is the model that I recommend. They're the 5-driver. If you don't want to spend quite as much, you can get in the door under $30 and get the ZSR model, which is a 3-driver. And again, if you don't know what I'm talking about with those, don't worry about it. If your worship leader, worship pastor, someone in your ministry staff has sent you a link to a particular brand that they recommend, well, they're going to be most familiar with that brand. Go with that. And but this is going to apply regardless of what brand you get. First of all, you need to be aware of a couple of things. So I'm going to walk you through a couple of the basics here. Now, mine are kind of dirty, as you can see. The foam here is showing a little bit of wear. It's about time for me to replace these. They should be a bright color. If they start to get dark and discolored, then it's usually time to replace them. They will only last so long, really just a few months, and then they start to deteriorate and fall apart. And that is definitely, you don't want stuff falling off in your ear and getting stuck. So this is a hygienic issue. You want to replace it for safety and for health, and as well as for fit. And the main thing that these do, by the way, there's another kind of seal that most in-ears come with. So I've added these foam inserts. Most of them come with these. If you look inside my little bottle, there's a collection of all the silicone foam or silicone tips. The rubber tips that go on your in-ears usually come with an in-ear from the factory, and different sizes, different shapes that go onto the actual earbud, and those are okay. The advantage to the silicone ones is they last forever. You can wipe them up with alcohol and they clean up, they stay very hygienic, and you don't have to worry about those sort of issues. They also provide a little bit more ambiance. So if you want to be able to hear people talk on the stage in between songs, the silicone tips are a better way to go if you don't have some sort of system built into your in-ear monitor to where you can hear people talking on the stage, like a room microphone or some sort of talkback mic. But if you're looking for isolation, which is really the name of the game with in-ear monitors, the foam tips are the way to go. because they will expand in your ear canal and make a complete seal, much in the way that custom in-ears would, and they will block out up to 30 decibels of ambient noise. Now these ones are rated for 26 decibels. The Shores that I used to use were rated at 29. I have used some that were rated for 30. They vary, and it depends on what the material of the earbud itself is made of. Now I suspect these ones might be underrated because they have this metal faceplate on the back of them that I suspect rejects outside sound a lot better than the plastic ones do. Again, it's not scientific, it's just my guess based on experience. But back to these foam tips. Here's what I see a lot of people do, other than not folding the ear hook around the right way. We'll come back to that. But to install these correctly. So if you have never been shooting with firearms, if you've never been in a very loud environment like a construction environment where you've had to use foam ear tips, this might be news to you. So I'm just going to share it with you as if you don't know. Hopefully you do, but a lot of you don't. These foam tips have to be compressed before you put them in your ear. If you just take it like this and try to shove it in your ear, you might get it in a little bit of the way, but it's going to compress strangely, and it's actually going to want to push itself back out of your ear. So if you go stick this on your ear and just shove it in, you might get it in a little bit, but you're going to notice the ear bud itself, this case, is sticking out awkwardly, really far. Yeah, see, that's about a centimeter sticking out there. And it'll make an okay seal, but again, it's not a perfect seal, and it'll come right out, especially if you're singing, your jaw is moving, this will, pop out. The deal is you have to compress it first before you stick it in your ear. So you're going to, with clean hands, wash your hands a lot, wash your hands. With clean hands, you're going to squeeze that foam down. See how it's nice and compressed now? It's going to pop out pretty quick. So you got to do this and be ready to put it in your ear, but you're going to squeeze it down so that it is compressed, and then when you put it in your ear, it will expand. Also, this is something to notice, as this foam degenerates, it will not stay compressed for very long. So if you're squeezing it pops back out immediately, that foam is done. Throw it away and get a new foam tip. It's like $5 for 10 pairs on Amazon. So no excuse, get yourself some fresh tips. So with mine, it is totally doing that thing there where it is popping right back out way too fast. Fortunately, I have more tips that I ordered from Amazon. So I'm going to go ahead and throw on a new set right now, get rid of these old nasty ones, and let's be able to demonstrate what I'm talking about with fresh ear tips. Get them out of their bag here. And while I'm doing this, I will speak to the ear hook. I've seen people not know how the ear hook works, and they install this cable backwards and have it hook around the wrong way, and then they can't get it to fit in their ear, or they do this, they've got it hooked wrong, and they try to treat it like iPhone cables and it's coming down underneath. That is wrong. First of all, you're getting the polarity wrong on the speakers, so it's not going to sound the way it's supposed to sound. And the other thing is, this wire is designed to go over your ear to help hold this in place. So it goes over the ear like that, and you'll notice most in-ears, the case is shaped to match the general shape of your ear. So if you're trying to match it up like this, the wrong one, it's not going to work well, right? Even if you try to do it like this, this is, again, the wrong one. I've seen people do like this way. It's just not going to work for you. It's formed for your ear. You got to use the correct one on the correct ear with the cable in the correct orientation. Now your old foams, look at the difference between this foam. All right, so here's the old one, here's the new one. Big difference. And of course I got lots of nasty dirt on the old one there. It's time. So they just slide on to your ear sets. Again, we're gonna do a quick demo here. So, just going to compress the foam, and as soon as I compress the foam, I'm going to stick this as deep in my ear canal as I can with the hook over it, and I'm probably going to want to open my mouth a little bit, like I was singing, ah, while the foam is expanding and it's making it seal. If I don't do that, if I have my mouth closed and I'm letting it seal, and then I open this up, it could actually open some air cavities and I lose the isolation and it won't sound as good. So I'm going to crush that down, pop it right in, nice and deep. Make sure my loop is over my ear, and I'm going to hold it in place. Alright, now see how much deeper this is in my ear than the one that I just shoved in without compressing it. And this is maybe 2 millimeters sticking out here versus 10. It's still not all the way jammed up against the inside of my ear. There's still some room for it. So as I move my mouth and I talk, it's comfortable. It's not stabbing me or something. The other thing that you may need to know, if you're using one of these bud buttons, you loop the cable around between these so that when it's sitting on your shirt or whatever you've secured it to, if you accidentally tug on the cable, it's not going to yank these out of your ears. That's the point. It's to relieve tension. So I'm going to pull this out for a second. The bud buttons, highly recommend. If you don't have these, again, they're like a few bucks on Amazon. They're fairly attainable for most people. And usually I run it through my shirt, not on the outside like this, but I'm just doing this for demo purposes. It's just magnetic clip, and it's gonna secure it. So if something yanks on my cable, like I walk away from my in-ear monitor workstation without forgetting to unplug myself, it's gonna pull on this part, which gives me a little strain relief rather than breaking my in-ear monitors. So you want that. Anyway, these are going to loop around behind your head. Also, if you happen to buy in-ear monitors and they don't have this wonderful little black thing on it that snugs up against the base of your scalp, I just use a little wire wrap from a bread package and wrapped it around a few times just to snug it up there at the base of my skull. So once these are in place, go ahead and squeeze that down, pop it in over my head. Do the other one. And as you're holding it, you can hear the foam expanding and making a seal in your ear. You're going to notice that it's nice. It's a good fit. It's inset there. I can move my jaw. I don't hear any sound changing without anything there. And at the back of your skull, this should snug up right here, right there, just so you're aware of where that is going to sit, so that you've got enough room to turn your head and sing and do everything that you want to do and have it be comfortably in place with these ear loops keeping them in spot. Now, if you're wearing glasses like I do, your glasses go on after these. Don't try to put these on while your glasses are already in place. They probably won't sit right. So in-ears first, and then throw on your glasses. I'm editing this in because I forgot to mention it. It is really important as part of wearing in-ear monitors that you wear both in at all times. Don't have one ear in and one ear out because you want to hear what's going on the stage or in the house. There are other ways to fix that issue. If you can't hear your church singing with you, you should be using a room microphone as part of your in-ear monitor system. Have that mixed in with one of your channels so that you can hear your people singing along and you're not completely isolated. That's one of the biggest arguments that I usually get against in-ear monitors is, I'm so isolated, I feel so cut off from my church. Look, it's a simple solution. You dedicate one channel on your board to one microphone and feed that in to the same source. Usually I recommend putting it in the same source as your musical director, if you have one of those, and your pastor. You want to be able to hear your pastor speaking, right? Especially if you're underscoring while he is praying or talking softly, whether you're transitioning from one element of the service to another, or he just likes to have you play while he's doing something, different element of the service. You need to be able to hear your pastor, he or she, sorry, you know, that's the thing. Anyway, you need to be able to hear your pastor. So you want a channel dedicated to that person, and in that channel you can mix in your musical director to be able to give you cues and guides and, hey, let's bring it down, hey, let's build it up, all those sort of directions, as well as your room microphone and any other extra things that you might have special on a particular week. So let's say you don't normally have a saxophone player, but you have a guest one week. You can feed them into that same channel without having to mess with the rest of your setup. So that is my recommendation for being able to hear what you need to hear, but you don't want to pop out one ear and leave the other plugged in. The reason is, the way that God has wired us is our ears are designed to work in stereo. I realize some people have hearing impairments, and this doesn't apply to absolutely everyone. If you've got a hearing aid, then you actually may be in better shape than other people for using in-ear monitors, but you might have to talk to your audiologist and get some special tips about how to make this work best. But for the vast majority of people, we have this thing built into us called the tympanic response, and it is the way that our body naturally attenuates for different volume levels. You may dial in your in-ear monitors to a volume level that is comfortable for you, and you think this is great, it's not too loud, and especially since most in-ear monitors will attenuate, they will isolate us and give us about 25 to 30 decibels of isolation from the ambient noise around us. That's great. So if your stage is running at, say, an average of 95 decibels, that brings you down to 70 decibels that you can be running your in-ears at a very comfortable level without any risk of hearing damage or loss. It's wonderful. It's very helpful. And you can bring it up to very safe levels in there. 80, 85 decibels is very safe for listening up to 8 hours at a time. And that is totally safe within OSHA limits. I wouldn't recommend that loud, but some people like it loud for brief periods of time. At any rate, your ears will attenuate. There's the three different bones in your ears that make everything work, transmitting outside air pressure to inside fluid pressure, which is picked up by all of the special workings inside your ear, and they're transmitted by a few different sets of bones and muscles. Well, the tympanic muscle is in there, and when your ears recognize there's something going on that's too loud, it actually relaxes and it does not transmit all of that pressure to your inner ear, which protects you from hearing damage. The thing is, it needs both of your ears to be working in order for that to happen. So let's say you set your in-ear listening level at a particular volume, and it's safe and it's comfortable, and then you pop out one ear, your tympanic response no longer works. Now, this is straight from several audiologists that I've spoken to at length about this. This is just biological, physiological fact, cannot be argued with. You know, just don't, all right? Unless you've gone to school for audiology and you're a professional audiologist and you have a professional difference of opinion here, then you can go ahead and leave that in the comments. I would love to hear the there's always 4 out of 5 doctors say, and you might be the 1 out of 5 that has a different opinion. But I'm going to go with the 4 out of 5, thank you very much, that say, no, don't do this. This will hurt your hearing. So for the rest of you, this will hurt your hearing. Don't pop out the other one, because when you have the one in and you pop the other out, your tympanic response, which needs stereo hearing to function, will not function anymore, which means it doesn't know what to do, and you run a very real risk of the attenuation not working, which means that what you had previously set at a comfortable level, when that tympanic response is failing, it can actually now expose you to levels that are harmful to you. It can hurt your hearing, and this has happened to people that I know that have been using in-ear monitors. They had one in, one out, and now they've got severe hearing loss in one ear. And it could be one or the other. It could be the one that's open to the stage. Maybe you have a particularly loud stage that runs at 105 decibels because there's blazing drums, and those high frequencies from the cymbals can be particularly harmful to you. It could be the other way around. It could be you have a very quiet stage, and you've got your in-ear monitor set at what you thought a comfortable level, a safe level, but now because you have one in and one out, it's no longer safe and it's causing you damage. So don't do that. Always run both or neither, not in between. Don't go with these companies that say, oh yeah, we make a special in-ear just for one ear. No, don't do that. They don't have your best interest in mind. They're just selling a product. And for anybody that says, oh, I've been doing it for years and years and it's not affected me, I would challenge that person to go get their hearing tested, a full frequency spectrum, and find out the difference between their ears and see what damage has been done from doing that over these years. Protect your hearing. You want to have your ears the rest of your life. One of the things I love about in-ear monitors is the fact that it does protect me from harmful frequencies on the stage. And it could be a guitar amp that is blazing loud. It could be a wedge monitor that is blazing loud. It could be slapback from the snare drum. It could be the high frequencies of cymbals. Now, there are ways to attenuate all that on your stage and make it a quiet stage. We run what we call a silent stage at our church. So we have hybrid electric acoustic drums that use real cymbals, but they're the Gen 16 Zildjians that run about 20% of the volume of normal cymbals. It is still possible to make those really wail, and if you hit them really hard, well, you'll probably break them because they got a million holes drilled in them to quiet them down. But you can make them excessively loud if you just wail on them, but we don't. We've got the mesh heads, we've got the acoustic electric cymbals, we don't have any amps on stage, we don't have any wedge monitors on stage. It is basically, that would be the noise you would be hearing from our drums. About that level. I mean, just very, very quiet. Our voices singing would be the loudest sources of sound on the stage, and maybe the occasional acoustic guitar that was getting wailed on pretty hard, but still very safe levels of volume there. Anyway, I love my in-ear monitors. I love that they protect my hearing, and they're going to allow me to be able to continue to hear frequencies that other musicians of my age and older are not able to hear anymore because they've exposed themselves to wedge monitors for years and years and years, and they've lost part of their hearing because of excessive volume levels for hours at a time. Anyway, I hope that was helpful for you. I'm going to continue back with the video as it was before. I just had to cut this in and mention that because so many people I hear talking about, well, I'll just take out the one ear. Oh, this is one other reason you don't want to do this, and this is a practical reason from your worship pastors, from your worship leaders, from your musical directors, from your sound team. If you are running clicks and guides, if you're running a metronome, a click track, and you have it in both ears or just faded one or the other, and you throw one out, well, A, you might not be able to hear it anymore. B, it might get picked up in microphone bleed by the vocal microphones on stage, or maybe even the pastor's speaking microphone. This is a real problem. People throw out their in-ears, or they take their in-ears out and they leave them on the stage, and maybe they're not coming back for the final song, and it's just dangling there by their microphone. Well, now it's bleeding into the mic, and everybody else can hear faintly in the sound system which is not a quality thing. You don't want to do that. One of our main roles as worship musicians on the stage is to limit distractions. So having that happen is definitely distracting. So if you do have your in-ear monitors, you're using them, take them with you, unplug them from the source on the stage. Don't leave them on there to be making noise and causing your sound people headaches or causing distraction to your pastor who's going, where's that clicking coming from? What is that? Because he may or may not even know what that is. But anything we can do to limit distractions is hugely helpful. The other thing is, most in-ear monitor systems these days are stereo, and using both of your ears allows you to pan sources around in the sound spectrum, which means, let's say you have two acoustic guitars and you want to hear them both. Well, pan one hard left, one hard right. It'll be a much better experience. You can hear both. They could be at relatively similar volumes. Rather than having to mix it so we can hear everything absolutely perfect in a mono mix, you can use stereo to pan things around. Two electric guitars, one over on one side, one on the other. Several vocalists. This is a tip because often the vocalists can get very mushy in the in-ear monitors. Use the stereo panning to be able to hear it. I will often put myself just slightly off center so that I can hear myself separately from my voice, which is in my head, resounding just from the natural fact that it's my voice resonating in my skull. So if I pan it a little bit, now my ears are going to be able to tune in better to my voice, and I can hear that I'm on pitch better, especially in comparison to other voices that might be singing along with me. So this is one of those tips and tricks. Use the stereo, use the panning. It'll be a better experience for you, and you don't have to be quite such a marvel at mixing frequencies and mixing levels. I know that using in-ear monitors requires that everybody that is responsible for their own workstation becomes experienced a little bit in mixing sound. And maybe that's a little unfair because not everybody is trained in that. Chances are, though, there's someone at your church who is good at it. You can ask them to set your mix. If you're having a hard time saying, it's just all mushy and I can't hear anything and I keep turning everything up and now I can't hear anything, have somebody who knows what they're doing actually set it for you. It'll be a better experience for you if you are not good at it, or if you're just having trouble with it. Often unbiased other opinion can come in and set a mix for you in your workstation so that you hear what you really need to hear. And you don't necessarily need to hear everything. Let's say you've got 11 people on your stage doing different things and making noise. You may only need to hear the drummer, the bassist, a guitarist, and the keyboards, and a vocal. And that's it. You don't need to hear all 15 things in order to do what you need to do. Maybe you like to hear all 15 things. Maybe you're the musical director and you need to. Well, obviously if you're the musical director, you're probably going to be more experienced at mixing and understanding how this all works. But if you're just brand new to this in-ear monitor thing and it's too much and you can't hear yourself, dial stuff back. The solution usually is to turn things down rather than to turn yourself up. Try that. It'll probably be a better experience. Okay, back to where we were. Anyway, I hope that's just easily understandable for everybody. It seems like it would be pretty intuitive, but some people, again, they just grab it and like, okay, I'm just gonna pop it in. Oh, it doesn't fit in my ear. I can't get it to go. Oh, this foam is too big. It's because you didn't compress it first. Compress it in your ear, let it expand, and you're gonna have a much better experience with your in-ear monitors. The buds will sound better. You'll be able to hear more clearly, and it'll be a better experience for everybody. So I hope this helped you. God bless, and let me know if that worked out for you. See ya.